Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today we're going to be doing another 50 years of horror fiction. This time it is going to be for the year 2019. I've got 5 books here, so let's go ahead and get underway, shall we? Alright, first up I've got Star of Acre, and this is by Andrew Michael Hurley. The worst possible thing has happened. Richard and Juliet Willoughby's son, Ewan, has died suddenly at the age of 5. Star of Acre, their house by the moors, was to be full of life, but is now a haunted place. Juliet, convinced Ewan still lives there in some form, seeks the help of the Beacons, a seemingly benevolent group of occultists. Richard, to try and keep the boy out of his mind, has turned his attention to the field opposite the house, where he patiently digs the barren dirt in search of a legendary oak tree. Star of Acre is the devastating new novel by the author of the prize-winning bestseller, The Lonely. It is a novel about the way in which grief splits the world in two, and how, in searching for hope, we can so easily unearth horror. And that is Star of Acre by Andrew Michael Hurley. Okay. Next up, we've got Everything is Beautiful and Nothing Bad Can Ever Happen Here by Michael Wehunt. This is a ghost story. It has those that scratch at bedroom doors and tap at windows wanting to be let in. It has those that haunt all of us long after the others tire of the searching. For some, doors are not enough. Bea Holcomb loves her life in Fontaine Falls, a perfect little town tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains in North Carolina. She has never thought to question that love until her next-door neighbor opens fire on a crowd of black demonstrators gathered in the city park to protest the town's Confederate statue. Lester Neal has torn open an invisible wound in Fontaine Falls, and what festers inside of it will change Bea, her family, and the dimming mind of her mother forever. As the national media descends and violence spreads, the town endures a conflict it is no longer insulated from. Bea is given a special sight so that she may witness how deep the rot has burrowed inside the postcard charm of Fontaine Falls. And she will be asked to turn the light of scrutiny and complicity upon herself as she is visited by horrors that won't rest quietly. This is a ghost story, she tells us repeatedly. This unflinching poetic novella is an examination of that claim, its layers of truth, of untruth, and the uneasy specters that inhabit modern America. And that is, let me get back to the top here, Everything is Beautiful and Nothing Bad Can Ever Happen Here by Michael Wehunt, or Wehunt. And it does say here, 40% of all sales of this ebook will go to support the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center is dedicated to fighting hate and bigotry and to seeking justice for the most vulnerable members of our society. All right. Next up, we have got Break the Bodies, Haunt the Bones by Micah Dean Hicks. Swine Hill was full of the dead. Their ghosts were thickest near the abandoned downtown where so many of the town's hopes had died generation by generation. They lingered in the places that mattered to them, and people avoided those streets, locked those doors, stopped going into those rooms. They could hurt you. Worse, they could change you. Jane is haunted. Since she was a child, she has carried a ghost girl that feeds on the secrets and fears of everyone around her, whispering to Jane what they are thinking and feeling, even when she doesn't want to know. Henry, Jane's brother, is ridden by a genius ghost that forces him to build strange and dangerous machines. Their mother is possessed by a lonely spirit that burns anyone she touches. In Swine Hill, a place of defeat and depletion, there are more dead than living. When new arrivals begin scoring precious jobs at the last factory in town, both the living and the dead are furious. This insult on the end of a long economic decline sparks a conflagration. Buffeted by rage on all sides, Jane must find a way to save her haunted family and escape the town before it kills them. And that is Break the Bodies, Haunt the Bones by Micah Dean Hicks. Okay. All right, next up we've got Wounds, 6 Stories from the Borders of Hell by Nathan Balingrud. In his first collection, North American Lake Monsters, Nathan Balingrud carved out a distinctly singular place in American fiction with his piercing and merciless portrayals of the monsters that haunt our lives, both real and imagined. What Nathan Balingrud does in North American Lake Monsters is to reinvigorate the horror tradition. This is according to Los Angeles Review of Books. Now, in Wounds, Balingrud follows up with an even more confounding, strange, and utterly entrancing collection of 6 stories, including 1 new novella. From the eerie dread descending upon a New Orleans dive bartender after a cell phone is left behind in a rollicking bar fight and the visible filth, to the search for the map of hell and the butcher's table, Balingrud's beautifully crafted stories are riveting in their quietly terrifying depictions of the murky line between the known and the unknown. And that is Wounds by Nathan Balingrud. All right. And next we've got Wakenhyrst, and this is by Michelle Paver. 1906, a large manor house, Wakes Inn, sits on the edge of a black fen just outside the town of Wakenhurst. It is the home of Edward Stern and his family, a historian, scholar, and landowner. He's an upstanding member of the local community. But all is not well at Wakes Inn. Edmund dominates his family tyrannically, in particular daughter Maud. When Maud's mother dies in childbirth and she's left alone with her strict disciplinarian father, Maud's isolation drives her to her father's study, where she happens upon his diary. During a walk through the local churchyard, Edmund spots an eye in the undergrowth. His terror is only briefly abated when he discovers it's actually a painting, a doom taken from the church. It's horrifying in its depiction of hell, and Edmund wants nothing more to do with it despite its historical significance. But the doom keeps returning to his mind. The stench of the fen permeates the house, even with the windows closed, and when he lies awake at night, he hears a scratching sound, like claws on the wooden floor. Wakenhurst is a terrifying ghost story, an atmospheric slice of Gothic, a brilliant exploration of the boundaries between the real and the supernatural, and a descent into the mind of a psychopath. And that is Wakenhurst, and that is by Michelle Paver. And that is going to do it for the year 2019. So, until next time, take care and stay scared. Thank you. Bye-bye.